All right. So we're jumping into Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play, uh, just taking a study of God as mother, which within Vedanta, uh, God can be mother as equally as God can be father or brother or sister or child or lover or spouse in all those ways. And we're looking at the life of Sri Sarada Devi, who's considered to be an incarnation of God as mother. And we see really the way that we've learned from her is really in how she lives, that we find that she has a vast circle of people that she's aware of how they're doing. She has a vast array of disciples that she's responsible for. And we find that she's always employing her disciples to reach out and take care of the people she knows or has heard are sick or not being well. And that she has an endless patience surrounding all of this, that which we're going to actually see a little bit in this first story. That she never stops. We have an example of a male devotee walking by her room in the Nahabat, after 10 p.m. and he calls out, "I'll have 6 chapatis," as he's walking on his way to see the master over near the temple. And what does mother do? Mother makes him his chapatis and brings them to him. And I read that and I thought, wow, God, that's not what I would have done. I would have thrown a bag of flour at him, say, "Here, your 6 chapatis, get busy." But mother's not that way, and this is why we're studying her and not me. All right, obstinate disciples. Well, I wanted to read this last sentence that we read last week, uh, because someone has come to her and is complaining, or not complaining, but is alarmed because their family guru, the guru that has traditionally taken care of their family's spiritual needs, cursed him because he got initiation from Holy Mother, and so he's come to Holy Mother in fear, that his guru has cursed him, his family guru. And Mother says, even the curse of Brahma, or the creator God, even the curse of Brahma can do no harm to one who has taken refuge in the Master. Be free from all fear. That's just that statement right there is quite significant. I mean, if the divine creator can't curse you, if you take refuge in the beloved, in the Master, then who can? What confidence you can hold in that for your freedom. So this next section it picks up is called Obstinate Disciples. It is very difficult to be a guru. All disciples are not obedient or respectful, loving and considerate. Some are actually obstinate and selfish, complaining, demanding. Shara Jubala described in her reminiscences what the compassionate mother had to go through with an inconsolate woman devotee. I visited the mother one afternoon and found a woman kneeling near her feet, begging with tears for initiation. The mother was seated on her bedstead. She refused to comply, saying, "I have already told you that I will not be able to initiate you now. I am not well." The woman was insistent. The mother was annoyed and said, "You think only of yourself. You are perfectly satisfied if you get the sacred mantra, but you never think of the consequences." But the woman was inexorable. All of us felt disgusted, period. Holy Mother at last asked her to come another day. Then the woman requested the mother to ask one of her monks to give her initiation. Mother said, "Well, suppose they refuse." The woman, "What do you mean, Mother? They must obey you." Mother, "Well, in this matter, they may refuse to comply with my request." Finding the woman unrelenting, the mother said, "Well, I shall ask Swami Subodhananda. He will initiate you." But the woman started insisting again and said, "I shall be happy to be initiated by you. You can certainly fulfill my desire if you like." The woman brought out 10 rupees and said, "Here's some money. You may purchase the necessary articles for initiation." We all felt mortified at her impudence. At last, the mother was angry and said severely, "What? Do you mean to tempt me with money? You cannot coax me with these coins. Take them back. Holy Mother immediately got up and left the room. Being hard pressed by the woman, the mother at last agreed to initiate her on the sacred Mahashtami day. That woman soon took leave of us. Look at that behavior. And in the end, mother still, she doesn't give her it right away like she wants, but she gives it to her on another day. But you see, that patience, just, I felt when I first read that story earlier, as I was sitting there, I felt just the hair on my neck stand up in the back. And someone talking to Holy Mother that way, I was like, oh my gosh. It is easy to raise good and well-behaved children, but it is extremely painful for the mother if the children are disobedient, disrespectful, demanding, and difficult. Every mother in this world should take a lesson from the Holy Mother on how to handle ill-behaved children. Swami Arupananda recalled, one morning a disciple, an eccentric young man, came to Holy Mother at Jairambati and demanded monastic initiation. He urged him to make him mad and to give him a vision of the master immediately. Somehow she pacified him for the time being and sent him home. But his eccentricity increased, and he returned to Jairambati. He felt that the mother had the power to give him a vision of Sri Ramakrishna, but was refusing to do so. He said, Mother, won't you let me see the master? Mother, yes, you will see him. Don't be so restless. Disciple angrily, you are only deceiving me. Here is your rosary. Take it back. I don't care for it anymore. He flung the rosary at her. All right, said the mother. Remain forever the child of the master. He left the place at once. Now he really became insane and began to write abusive letters to the swamis of the mission, not sparing even Holy Mother. One day I asked the mother, did he return the mantra with the rosary? Can anyone ever return the mantra? The mother replied, can that ever be possible? The mantra is a living thing. Can anyone who has received it give it back? Can he, once having felt the attraction for the guru, give him up? Someday in the future, this man will come around and fall at the feet of those whom he now abuses. He once said to me, Mother, make me mad. Why, said I, why should you be mad? Can anyone without committing many sins ever be mad? This devotee again began to visit Udbodhan house, but was rebuffed by the swamis. He lived on the bank of the Ganges and sometimes took his meal on the outer porch of Udbodhan. Udbodhan was the house where Mother stayed, and they now have that, it's a book publishing house now in downtown Calcutta. One day he was taken to Holy Mother with her permission. Trying to pacify him in various ways, she said, the master used to say, at the time of death, I shall have to stand by those who pray to me. These are his words. You are my child. What should you be afraid of? Why should you behave like a madman? That will disgrace the master. People will say that one of his devotees have become mad. Should you conduct yourself in a way that discredits the master? Go home and live as others do. Eat and lead a normal life. At the time of your death, the master will reveal himself to you and take you to him. The devotee was consoled by the mother's words and gradually regained his normal state of mind. There's that promise again, those who come to this place, meaning the master, that this is your last birth. That's his promise, and when Mother was pressed about it, she says, well, if it's not the last, it's the last one or two. So it's a wonderful promise and something to really put in the pocket of your mind so that it's fresh and waiting for you when that day comes. If you have the awareness that it's that time, you'll have that promise with you. It'll be a real comfort for you. Holy Mother's omniscience. Mukunda Bihari Saha was a student of Scottish Church College in Calcutta. He became very close to M, the recorder of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and he heard about the Mother from him. One day, Mukunda approached Holy Mother asking for initiation. Smiling, she said, very well, my son, come tomorrow morning. He asked, what should I bring? She answered, no, nothing, just a few flowers. Mukunda recalled, The next morning, I went to the mother's house with only a few flowers. When the initiation was over, the attendant monk asked me, "Haven't you brought any sweets?" I was deeply embarrassed. The next day after classes, I hastened to pay homage to the mother. Mindful of my embarrassment on the previous day, I brought some sweets. The attendant monk who had mentioned the sweets on the previous day asked me, "From where are you coming?" I replied, "Well, straight from college." Showing him a packet of sweets, I said, "I've brought this for the mother." He exclaimed, "Silly mother, silly boy, to have brought sweets for the mother without changing your clothes. I doubt whether the mother will eat any of them." Boy, what a I hate reading these things from swamis. It's like, really? Silly boy, to have brought sweets for the mother without changing your clothes. I doubt whether the mother will eat any of them. I was very sad. I went upstairs, intending only to offer pranam and then go away. As soon as I rose after touching her feet, the mother said, "My son, won't you give me the sweets that you've brought for me?" The all-knowing mother stood I the all-knowing mother. I stood silently. The mother repeated, "Well, my son, give me the sweets." When she stretched out her hand, I handed over the small packet to her with great hesitation. Tears trickled from my eyes. I told her that I had come straight from college without changing my clothes. "Oh, it does not matter," she said. She opened the packet and took a sweet, and then returned the whole packet to me, saying, "Please, you eat some." It tasted like ambrosia. Ananda Charan Sengupta, a disciple of the mother, recalls, "During Christmas vacation, I went to visit the mother at Udbodhan from Barasal. I had read the story of Girish giving the power of attorney over his life to Sri Ramakrishna, and that thought penetrated my mind. I decided that I would offer the power of attorney to the mother mentally without making it known to anyone. After bathing in the Ganges, I went to Udbodhan house, and Swami Sharadananda asked Brahmachari to escort me to the mother. I saw that the mother was seated on her bed, dangling her feet with a long veil over her face. Disappointed, I waited a while. When the brahmachari asked me to finish pranam quickly, I bowed down, putting an apple at her feet, and mentally said, "Mother, please accept the power of attorney over my life." When I raised my head, I saw her veil at the top of her head, and she was looking at me graciously. There was an affectionate smile on her face. I received the answer to my prayer in that mother's smile. After some time, I wondered whether the mother still remembered me. When I heard from one of my relatives in Calcutta that the mother had inquired about me. This is a beautiful, this notion of giving God your power of attorney. Uh, I mean, that's just outright surrender. You know, if somebody has the power of attorney for you when you're sick, they're the ones that make your decisions for you. They're the ones that decide how you're treated and what your treatments will be and whether they accept them or not. You're just there to accept what they deem to be proper. And this is quite a practice. You know, it's a funny story if you haven't heard it. When Girish Ghosh, who he was a great artist, a real bohemian, he liked to drink and he owned a theater and did a lot of plays and wrote a lot of plays. He's famous nowadays. In those days, he was still working on becoming famous. But one day, you know, he asked the master, you know, what can I do to be realized? And the master said, "Oh, well, just chant the name of God in the morning and in the evening. Can you do that?" And Girish was like, "No, I can't really do that." And so Rami, I can't remember the total sequence, but the next one was like, "Well, just chant his name, a few times a day." "No, I can't do that." Anyway, he keeps going and he just says, I can't know for sure that I'll do all those things. I lead a very irregular life and I'm always distracted and busy. And so finally the master says, "Well, okay, you don't have to do anything. Just give me the power of attorney over your life." And Girish was like, he thought he'd been given the greatest boon ever. He was like, "Oh, yes, that's perfect. That's just right." And then, then the next time he saw the Swami, or he went to see Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna asked him about something he had done, and he said, "Oh, yes, I've done that." And he says, "How is it that you decided to do that without asking? Do you not realize you gave me the power of attorney over your life? Are you taking that back?" And Girish said, by the end of his life, he was like, "Wow, I wish I had realized what I was saying. It would have been much easier just to chant the name of God a few times in the morning every day instead of having to surrender his whole self to the Lord like that. Yeah. He had some funny things that he said. Actually, one of my favorite things he said was that at the end of life, after Thakur had already, or after Ramakrishna had already passed away, he said, he said, "I wish I'd known that there was such a big and deep hole to throw my sins into. I would have committed so many more." But that's a man who knows the grace of the divine, that fearlessness, that playfulness of God. Holy Mother's advice to disciples. Krishna says in the Gita 4:34, "Learn wisdom by prostration, by inquiry, and by service. The wise who have seen the truth will teach you that wisdom. True seekers of God encounter various obstacles and doubts on their spiritual journey. It is always wise to have those doubts cleared by the Guru. On different occasions, Holy Mother gave the following advice on spiritual life to some of her disciples. To Kailash Kamini Roy, one should transform this gross body into a spiritual body through sadhana. So one should take care of the body. Right? So we purify the body. What does that mean? We remove the sense of me and mine from it so that we don't obey its selfish needs. We don't think only of ourselves through it. We use the body then for our service, for loving, for loving others, for encouraging others, for good, for light in the world. To Swami Avyaktananda, disease and austerity are the same thing. One can destroy the results of past action through austerity and also through disease. That practice of separating yourself, when you're laying there sick. Actually, the time that I really practiced this was back when I broke my leg in 2008. And I was laying I was laying in a bed for a very long time in the front room of the monastery. There wasn't any TV in there at that time and no radio. And I didn't have any visitors. I was just sitting there staring at the ceiling all day. And I had a lot of time to do practice, too much time. And I was laying there and I was just, my leg was hurting, just throbbing. Anytime I would move or cough or anything like that, it would just, oh my gosh, the pain was horrible. And I really practiced, I thought of Swami, I guess it was Trigunatita, who went to the dentist and he removed his mind from the teeth, and the doctor was able to do the dentist was able to do the work without any anesthesia. And so I was sitting there thinking of that. And so I was trying to do this practice, trying to remind myself, I'm not the body. It's not me who hurts. It's the leg that hurts. It's not me that's broken. It's the leg that's broken. And really trying to work that knowledge and to focus on that and to take my mind off of that, put it onto the mantra or put it onto something I was reading. And, there really is a great deal of relief to be found in that. So even when you're sick with a flu or something, if you just lay there and remind yourself that the body is sick, you're not. And you kind of practice that perspective, you'll see the power of it. It's quite amazing, because even if you don't fully believe it, even reminding yourself of it, there is a little bit of drop in suffering. That's why they say that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Suffering is the choice. Swami Kalvalyananda asked, Mother, there are so many bad and good thoughts arising in my mind. What will happen to me? Holy Mother replied, oh, don't worry about it. In this Kali Yuga, mental sin is not considered a sin unless that sinful thought is executed. In other ages, virtue and vice would take place through the resolution of mind. In this Kali Yuga, good thoughts will definitely bear good results. Nalin Sarkar said, Mother, my mind does not always like to practice japa and meditation. Sometimes I like it, and sometimes it's distasteful. Holy Mother responded, as there is a dark fortnight and a bright fortnight, so is the condition of the mind, sometimes good and sometimes bad. This is the law of nature. Whatever be the condition of the mind, Never give up your habit of sitting for meditation in the morning and evening. Sometimes the mind does not like to sit for meditation, even when the mind does not like to. What is this? Sometimes the mind does not like to sit for meditation, even when the mind is in a good condition. Again, sometimes it becomes absorbed despite a restless condition. It's hard to say when the mind will get absorbed in God. You see, our mother just doesn't, she doesn't identify herself. And that's really what she's teaching this young man. Don't identify yourself by the conditions of your mind. You know, if the mind is not being, if the mind is restless or doesn't want to meditate, that's fine. But the mind isn't your desire. You know, what the mind wants is not what you want. You know, you are that Satchitananda. You know, you drive the mind. You're the one who's in charge. You're the only one with that power in your body. You're the only one that can make these choices, and you need to claim that authority and hold that authority. You know, the body is like what they say, like a chariot with 5 horses, and you have to have a driver. You know, that buddhi, that discernment within you is the driver of that chariot. And so you determine where the chariot goes, not the mind and the senses of the body. They don't determine that. So you hold on, knowing that you drive this chariot, and really what the mind wants is irrelevant to you. What the body wants is irrelevant to you. You know, you're the only one in there that is sentient. You're the only one that is real. After initiating Gopal Kinkar Sen, the mother said to him, "For all these years you've been a man, and now you are an awakened man. Repeat the mantra as much as you can, but always pray to the master." Swami Pranatmananda asked, "I have a desire to go on pilgrimage. Is it good?" Holy Mother replied, "Visiting holy places is very good. It purifies the mind, but it is better to have initiation before going on a pilgrimage." In a letter to Taraknath Roy Chaudhary, Holy Mother advised, "The meaning of giving the power of attorney is to surrender one's entire responsibility to God. Even after giving the power of attorney, one should repeat one's Ishta mantra and remember God at least at the end of the day." Once, when Radhu was sick, Holy Mother asked Nandarini to perform the master's worship. Nandarani replied that she did not know the mantra. The mother instructed her, "First, wipe the master's picture with a moist cloth. Then offer a flower and tulsi leaves with sandal paste at his feet. Afterwards, offer to him food that you've prepared, saying, 'Master, please eat this food.' Finally, repeat your Ishta mantra." Swami Varadananda came from Kalighat with a vermilion mark on his forehead. He looked very handsome with his fair complexion, his ochre cloth, and the vermilion mark. Varadananda bowed down to the Holy Mother, and she looked at his face and remarked, "The master used to say one should not exhibit the mark of one's religion outside." True realization is realization of God. It is not in external religious marks or in scriptural scholarship. Swami Nikhilananda, one of Holy Mother's disciples, wrote, "Holy Mother did not care much for book learning if it did not lead to faith in God and love for him." "Does one get faith," she asked, "by the mere study of books? Too much reading creates confusion." She did not argue or reason, though she stressed the value of discrimination between the real and the unreal, between God and the world. Whatever she taught came from her heart and from her inner experience. Once asked for a proof of God's existence, she said, "Why argue about something which you clearly see to exist?" She said to a devotee, "Give up this dry discussion, this hodgepodge of philosophy. Who has been able to know God through reasoning?" Ramakrishna and Holy Mother were very much against a guru cult, which develops narrowness and bigotry, quarreling, fanaticism, and fights. Once, Swami Arupananda said to the Holy Mother, "Those who are obtaining your blessing are fortunate indeed. What will happen to people in the future?" "What do you mean?" the mother asked with a great surprise. "Why will they too not succeed? God exists everywhere and at all times. Are people not realizing God in other countries?" On another occasion, she said, "Holy men are born on earth to show people the way to God. They teach differently. There are many paths leading to the same goal. Therefore, the teachings of all the saints are true. There are innumerable stories and eyewitness accounts of the mother as a guru. However, only some important ones are recorded in this chapter. Holy Mother was an incarnation of the Divine Mother, so she could liberate souls by cutting the cord of Maya. Blessed are they who have received initiation from her. Fortunately, Holy Mother's grace was not limited to these few who went to her. Her grace and unconditional love continue to flow through millions of people all over the world who come in contact with her through her divine life story and her teachings. That means you and me. That we have this divine blessing, this ability just to see these things. You know, I often think about in this regard, so many people are like, oh, I wish I was there when Tucker was there. How blessed all those people would be. And of course, that's true in one sense. But in another sense, they couldn't pick up the 9 volumes of Vivekananda's work anytime they wanted. They couldn't pick up the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and learn all about his life anytime they wanted. You know, they couldn't pick up the great master and read the intricacies and the intimate sadhana that Ramakrishna did, his practice for realizing God. They didn't get to see all of that. They didn't get to see that Ramakrishna's name would circle the globe, that there would be devotees around the world serving him. You know, so in one sense, we're more blessed. For us to believe that Thakur, you know, is whatever he is to us, so whether it's an incarnation or a guru or just a great teacher, we didn't have all, they didn't have all that evidence. You know, they didn't know that he would ever be anything more than the temple priest in Dakshineshwar. And so in another sense, yes, we've got even a greater blessing, that we have his words with us all the time, that we can sit down and read of his life anytime, that we can know him intimately without ever having to be near the body, you know, in that sense. So it gives us even a greater faith in that sense, because we're not touching him and his teachings through the senses. We're touching him in the mind in a more subtle way, in a way closer to the soul, the closer to the self. You know, there's a lot of power there. And, you know, if you're one to take encouragement in such things, he said he would be in his subtle body for quite some time to help us out, you know, to move us forward in that sense. But, all right, well, that's the end of that chapter. Is there anything in there that we read that anybody particularly wants to highlight or was meaningful? There's some beautiful little pieces in there. I think it's interesting that she says that that the sin of the mind doesn't really count in the Kali Yuga, that it's only when you place it into action that you do it. You know, she says in other times that if you had thought about it, you were responsible for it. She says those times are a bit different now. All right. Chapter 27, Ministry Through Correspondence. O Mother Narayani, you are Saraswati, our intelligence. You are the supreme goddess endowed with sattva, rajas, and tamas. Be propitious unto us, O Mother. We bow to you. As the human face is reflected in a mirror, so the human mind is manifested through letters. When we read someone's letter, we get some glimpse of that person's mind. Goethe said, letters are among the most significant memorial a person can leave behind them. In the old days, when there was no telephone or internet, people who lived some distance away from each other communicated through letters. St. Paul conducted part of his spiritual ministry through correspondence. His letters to the Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Thessalonians, and others carried the message of Christ and still inspire millions of Christians. Swami Vivekananda also inspired people through his immortal letters. Although Ramakrishna and Holy Mother did not have much formal education, they were endowed with communication skills which are indispensable for disseminating ideas. Ramakrishna went to the Lahas primary school in Kamarpakul for a brief study and learned to read and write. He could sign his name, and he also copied some scriptures, which are now preserved in the archives of Bellermont. On the 9th of March, 1883, he said to M, "During my childhood, I could paint well, but arithmetic made my head spin. I couldn't learn even simple arithmetic. The master did not care for bread-earning education, so he eventually became a dropout." There is no record that Ramakrishna wrote any letters to anyone or dictated letters, but on the 29th of August in 1885, the master received a letter from Purna Chandra Ghosh, in which Purna had written, "I am feeling extremely happy. Now and then I cannot sleep at night for joy." After hearing this letter, the master said, "I feel thrilled to hear this. Even later on, he will be able to keep this bliss. Let me see the letter." He pressed the letter in the palm of his hand and said, "Generally, I cannot touch letters, but this is a good letter. Is it not a great fortune for a devotee that an avatar was thinking of his welfare?" Holy Mother learned how to read and write, but according to Yoganmal, she did not know how to count money. Holy Mother now and then received some money. When the devotees sent to her through a money order or gave her a gift, she would touch the money to her forehead, as money represents the Divine Mother Lakshmi, and then she would put it in a box. Later, she would give it to her disciples to buy groceries. One day, in Udbodhan house, Swami Arupananda said to Holy Mother, "Mother, I sometimes see you reading the Ramayana. When did you learn to read?" The mother replied that she had learned the alphabet when she was a little girl from her brother Prasanna and from her cousin Ramnath. She and Ramakrishna's niece Lakshmi later learned Varna Parichay, Part 1, the Bengali primer, at Karmarpakor. But Hriday took the mother's book away because he did not believe the girls should be educated. Later at Dakshineshwar, the master engaged a boy named Sharat Samanta to teach her Varna Parichay Part 2. Then, in 1885, when the master left for Shyampakor to be treated for cancer, a girl from Pava Mukherjee's family at Dakshineshwar taught Holy Mother to read fluently the Ramayana, and in Dakshineshwar taught Holy Mother to read taught Holy Mother to read fluently the Ramayana and other holy books. Ramakrishna once said about Holy Mother, "She is Sarada, Saraswati. She has come to give knowledge. Saraswati is the goddess of learning. By her will, the mother received whatever education she needed to conduct her spiritual ministry. As she had many disciples and devotees in various parts of India and abroad, she often received letters from them asking for help. She often received letters from them. Boy, my glasses. It must be my glasses. I don't know. She often received letters from them asking for help with her problems or asking questions about spiritual practices. All these she answered. When the disciples' letters were read to her, she would dictate her answers, which were written down by some of her disciples, including Swami Arupananda, Swami Parameshwarananda, Brahmachari Gopesh, Brahmachari Bharada, Brahmachari Jnanananda, Brahmachari Himendra, and Sarajubala Sen. Shivam, Ramakrishna's nephew, her nieces Radu, Maku, and Nalini also sometimes took dictation from her. Even her mailman, Yogendra, wrote down letters for her. We have some of those letters in the center in San Francisco. I remember seeing one of them that had been written, and she actually wrote her name at the end, signed it Ma in Bengali. It was quite quite cool to see. In the early days, there were not many educated people in Jairamati. When Yogendra, the mailman, brought a letter to her, she asked him to read it to her. She then dictated an answer to him, and he mailed it for her. Of course, she gave him refreshments in appreciation. In May of 2006, the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture published a Bengali book entitled Mayor Chitti, Holy Mother's Letters, which contained 361 letters. This book includes 108 letters that were originally published in Sri Sri Mayur Padaprate, Part 3, by the Udbodhan Office in Calcutta. As the present book is a biography of Holy Mother and not a collection of her letters, we'll only look at some of the letters that illustrate various facets of her life. In this chapter, we shall first reproduce the available letters of the Mother that were written in English. Then we shall include translations of some important letters originally written in Bengali. The translations are my own, except as indicated. Finally, we shall translate a few letters written by the Mother's disciples. For uniformity and style, we have taken some liberty regarding the spelling and pronunciation and punctuation in these letters. These letters are replete with spiritual instructions, historical facts, and incidents concerning the Ramakrishna order. Above all, they shed light on Holy Mother's life. During her lifetime, she traveled between Calcutta and Jairambati many times. She went on pilgrimages in various parts of India, and she was extremely busy serving and initiating disciples in Jairambati and Calcutta. Sometimes she suffered from malaria and rheumatism. It is amazing how she maintained contact with the disciples of the Master and also with her own disciples. Despite her lack of a modern education and her rural upbringing, she was always dignified in her manners. Whenever anybody sent money or a gift to her, she always acknowledged it and sent her blessings. Oh, that's beautiful. I often wondered about that. It's that one of those things that, as a Westerner, we run into quite a bit, especially in the order, and as everybody here knows, we say thank you to each other all the time. And, I asked Swami Prabhupada, why we didn't thank the devotees, when they did things for the monastery. And he had a very interesting answer. For him, he said, well, they've done it for the Lord as service to the Lord. It's it's not for me to give them thanks, because in doing that, I give them a trinket for something that they could have gotten a divine blessing for. What is my thank you to them? Let them go to the Lord for that thank you, and from him receive a proper blessing, a proper meaning. And so in one sense, there's that idea. But then there's also the idea, well, perhaps they're giving it to God in us. And so as God in us, should we not allow God's thanks to be manifest through us toward the devotees for all the things that the devotees provide for us as the monks, everything really, our housing, our clothing, our food, and like that. And so I guess it looks like you can really take either way, because here Mother is always conscious of people giving her things and always appreciating it and saying thank you. So I guess you can take it either way in that sense. But as a person who's giving, it's always good to just give and not to have any expectation, no strings attached to it. I was always kind of amused sometimes in Washington, D.C., when we would have a puja and people would prepare these dishes, and they would bring them and leave them in the puja kitchen, the worship kitchen, and back behind the shrine. But then they would kind of hang around to watch how it was being presented and how it was being put on the plate that was going to go out to to the shrine. And they wanted theirs in front, and they wanted more of it on that tray, and they had all these requirements for how their offering should be presented. And it's always good to remember that when you offer something to the Lord, it's no longer yours. As soon as you've let go of it, your part in it is finished. If the Lord wants to dump it on the floor, the Lord will dump it on the floor. If he wants to feed it to the cat, he'll feed it to the cat. And if he wants to take it all and give it to the shrine, he'll do that. For us, we give. We offer it to the Mother, and we let go. We don't let our attachment follow our offering all the way all the way through the kitchen. And so it's good to remember in our service it's that way also. When we do good, it's wonderful seeing all these YouTube videos of people doing good for others. It's also heartbreaking, to see that such a show is necessary, that we have to record ourselves doing good, when really that's just an act of humanity. Everybody should be doing that. There should be nothing special about that at all, if we were all being human beings, right? If we were all living according to our nature, everybody would be doing things like that. They wouldn't be remarkable at all. But for us, that's the way it is. The ego wants its comeuppance. That's why the mind is the holder, the container of our karma, because it's good at being persnickety about details like that. It binds us to our action. Letters to Western devotees. Holy Mother's letters to her Western devotees demonstrate her affection for them and her deep interest in the Vedanta work in the West. Written on the 4th of April, 1900 in Jairambati to Sister Nivedita in the West, she writes this: May this letter carry all blessings. My dear love to you, baby daughter Nivedita. I am so glad to learn that you have prayed to the Lord for my eternal peace. You are a manifestation of the ever blissful Mother. I look at your photograph, which is with me every now and then, and it seems as if you are present with me. I long for the day, the year when you shall return. May the prayers you have uttered for me from the heart of your pure virgin soul be answered. I am well and I am happy. I always pray to the Lord to help you in your efforts and to keep you strong and happy. I pray too for your quick return. May he fulfill your desires about the women's home in India, and may the would-be home fulfill its mission in teaching true Dharma to all. He, the breath of the universe, is singing his own praise, and you are hearing that eternal song through the things that will come to an end. The trees, the birds, the hills, and all are singing praises to the Lord. The banyan of Dakshineshwar sings of Kali, to be sure, and blessed is he who has the ears to hear it. I was so glad to hear of the faith of Mrs. Waterman. She who thinks she has not lost her beloved, even after the fall of the body, has really attained to light, for the soul can never die, even when the body falls. I am glad to hear that it has strengthened her to hear me. May she be a help to your work. My love, my blessings to Mrs. May Wright Sewell. My dear, love to you and blessings and prayers for your spiritual growth. You are indeed doing good work, but do not forget your Bengali, or I shall not be able to understand you when you come back. It gave me such a delight to know that you are speaking of Dhruva, Savitri, Sitaram, and so on there. The accounts of their holy lives are better than all the vain talk of the world, I am sure. Oh, how beautiful are the name and the doings of the Lord, your mother. My God, what a beautiful letter. I would be a sopping mess if I got that letter. I had to read that. Written on the 20th of July, 1910 in Bagh Bazaar, Calcutta to Sarah Bull, United States. Mother, hearing that you are very ill, I am very anxious about you. I heard from your daughter Nivedita that you are a little better. I am praying to Thakur, the Lord, for your speedy recovery. Your recovery will cause me great joy. I have come to Calcutta, and all my children are all well, except Yogan, who is not quite well, about which I am a little anxious and very, very sorry. I have offered on your behalf to the feet of Ramakrishna a tulsi and a bell leaf, and 3 evenings sitting before him I have prayed for you. Also, I want to know if Jaya, Josephine MacLeod, is going to you. Please give her my warm blessings, and don't forget Christine if you see her. I am so sorry to hear that your daughter is not at present with you in this time of illness. And now from our Lord I am sending you a flower and some sandal dust, which I offer to him with worship. My deep love, my blessings, you will realize. I love you very much and bless you from my heart. We are far away from you, but I always feel as if you are quite near. Your mother. You really see that beautiful heart of mother. Let's read one more here. Holy Mother wrote to Sister Devamata, an American disciple of Swami Paramananda, a few days after Devamata's arrival in Madras from the United States. This letter was written in Bengali and translated by Swami Ramakrishnananda. My dear Devamata, I'm very glad to hear of your great devotion to my Lord. You are my daughter. May infinite devotion rise up in your heart. This is my blessing to you. For this I pray to my Lord. May you live long, and along with all my other children, may you remain merged in bliss eternal. I am doing well, your affectionate mother. Devamata visited Holy Mother in Calcutta and then returned to Madras and finally to the United States. She published the following extracts from Holy Mother's letters in her book, Days in an Indian Monastery. My sweet daughter, your loving letters are duly at hand. Excuse me, please, not to answer you in time. I always remember you. Whenever I see the place that you used to sit and meditate, your loving form comes to my mind. All the inmates of this house always speak of you. I'm glad to learn in your last letter that Swami Ramakrishnananda is feeling better. All are well here. With my blessings, your most affectionate mother. My sweet daughter, your letter of the 1st of November I received. I cannot tell you the joy I felt on receiving it. I have come here to Puri for a change and will stay here for a month or two more. I hope you will write to me every now and then. I'm feeling better now. I'm glad to learn of the removal of the quarters of the Boston work and the spreading of the Lord's doctrine progressively day by day. I always think of you, my sweet daughter. I hope you're quite well now. With my love and my blessings, your loving mother. My beloved daughter, your letter of August 16th received. I was thinking of you when the letter came to me, so you can easily guess how much joy it has given me. I'm glad to go through the part which gives the report of the work there. Please convey my love, my blessings to Paramananda and to all the devotees there, both in Washington and in Boston. I am more glad to find you well again and doing Thakur's work with an earnest zeal. I am indeed very happy to receive this news. I'm feeling myself somewhat better now. Sharadananda, Yoganma, Golapma, Satyakama, Kushum Devi, Ganan, Nivedita, and Sudhira are all right. They often speak of you. With my love and my blessings to you, my beloved daughter, your affectionate mother. All right, we'll read two more and finish the section here. My sweet daughter, I'm glad to receive your letters dated January 17th and February 9th. The report of the work of both Washington and Boston is interesting to me, and I would like to hear more in the future. I was at Kotar for nearly 2 months and have come over here. Now I am residing in the same house in which you lived. I have been here for a month and a half. Meanwhile, I went to visit Rameshwaram and stayed there for 4 days. The family of Balaram Babu is here with me. All are doing well here except the lady of the same family who is suffering from enteric fever. As soon as she gets cured, we will start for Calcutta. Tomorrow I will have to go to Bangalore and will spend a day or two there. Thence I will come back here. Swami Ramakrishnananda is somewhat better now. All the other Swamis are well. My blessings to you and to Swami Paramananda and to all the devotees, both in Washington and Boston, your affectionate mother. Devamata writes regarding the following letter. A short time before her going came this letter from her. My sweet daughter, my blessings be on your head. After a long time, I have received a letter from you. Srimam Basanta, Swami Paramananda, and you are keeping well. Hearing this, I am very happy. You are my daughter. You are also my mother because you have prayed for my welfare to the Lord. Give my blessings to Sriman Basanta, and for you, also my blessings. My blessings to all. What grief I have suffered due to the passing away of Babaram. I cannot convey in a letter. I am happy to know that Basanta's work is going on so well. I am sorry to hear that because of much pressure of work he cannot come here. I hope he will try to come when it is again possible. Convey my blessings to all the people living at the monastery. May the Lord make you all his true children, is my prayer. Write to me about your own welfare. Write me from the one who blesses you, Mata Thakurani. We'll stop there for the